Hi, I'm Rick.
Okay, Rick, and so I see you have this beautiful Mustang here.
It's a 2015 Mustang GT.
Okay. Give us a little background on this car.
Yeah, we bought it, took ownership of it New Year's Eve 2015, and with planning of the car about 6 months before we actually purchased it, so we wanted to build a true American exotic vehicle.
Okay. And by exotic, what are the specifications on this vehicle?
On exotic, I would say north of 1,000 horsepower.
Okay, no problem at all. And when you say half mile, so how did you do in the half mile?
Half mile does over 200 miles an hour at full configuration.
Okay, and the full mile?
Over 230 at full configuration.
Okay. Okay, sounds like a super muscle car.
Yeah, it's in exotic territory at that point, so it's it kind of stands alone. There aren't too many cars that are out there on these designs that are built that way. There's less than a handful of them probably that are built this way, so it's kind of special to us.
Okay, if I can ask you, what made you a car junkie?
I got bit when I was like 8 years old. Started washing cars for my family and my parents and things like that. I was probably about 12 years old. I started a little detailing business and did it through my younger years. And as I got to about 15, 16 years old, like most young boys, we start getting into race cars and wanting to build race cars. And I've been doing it ever since, about 35 years professionally. Been building race cars and custom configuring cars.
Okay, no problem at all. As a certain shop that you represent?
I currently am at Vibe Motorsports.
Okay.
And I handle all the performance work that we do there.
No problem at all. No problem at all. And what type of performance shop outside of, is it more of an exotic shop? Is it more of a domestic import?
So at Vibe, we do everything from wheels and tires to accessories to now a lot of performance work. At the heart of it, we probably specialize in American muscle when it comes down to it. But we do a lot of Euro, we do a lot of Porsche, we do BMW, and we do a lot of Mustangs, Camaros, Challengers, Chargers, etc. So a pretty decent gamut of what we look at.
So it's a super shop made for super muscle cars.
There you go.
Okay. Now, how much more custom is this Mustang than your average Mustang? Besides under the hood, besides the motor as well, I want to say, is there any other customs or any other custom pieces that you have?
Suspension has been completely designed to handle high-speed stability for the half-mile and mile runs. We've also custom designed the dash and custom molded the gauges, shift light, boost control, and things, so they're very easy to get to. Generally, it's a fully optioned vehicle. Okay. It hasn't been lightened. It hasn't had anything special to do to it. At that point, people used to always come to me and say, you could save 400 pounds and be faster. And I'd like to see that boost controller, 3 clicks, weight doesn't matter anymore. So it's one of those things. It's a daily driver too. So it's what I drive every day. It's what I use to show off what we can do at the extreme level. And it's done very well for us that way.
No problem. No problem. Does LA Streetcars have anything to do with Vibe, or is it more of something different?
So LA Streetcars is really me. It's my Instagram account. I have a website for it as well. And it's what I personally do, which is build American muscle and show off basically exotic cars and beautiful cars that are really well built around the world. Okay. Is what I really show off with that. In a sense, it's like LA Streetcars is at Vibe Motorsports. So we bring all that decades of experience into what we build in cars now.
Okay, no problem at all. Now, have you ever taken it on like a drag track?
Very early on, when we built the custom motor, and the first couple of weeks we had the motor and the Supercharger, everything built, the initial tuning was all done in a drag track. Okay. All privately done, and kept private at that point, because the goal was really to be that half mile and mile. Okay. and daily driver. So it was in the beginning was purpose built as a drag car. Then gearing was changed, transmission and other things were changed for the long term. So it doesn't as well as it can do on the drag track. It's really not designed overall to be that kind of vehicle. But it was very fast. Let's put it that way.
Cool.
One of the biggest challenges that you have when you try to build a high horsepower car like this is getting the power to the ground. So building suspension properly, making sure gearing is done right, drivetrain and axles and all those pieces, right down to wheels and tire choice, get traction. One of the features of the vehicle is we have 11.5-inch wheels in the rear with 345/30/19s on them. So that's 13 inches of track on both sides.
Do you rub at all with the 345?
Zero rub whatsoever. These are custom wheels, custom design. We have these sets that we can provide as well. But zero rub, takes a little bit of alignment adjustment, but
Okay.
zero rub on the car whatsoever.
Now, I want to ask, how low is the car?
Car is lowered on custom springs
Gotcha.
and custom sway bars for it as well for traction. The front is lowered 2 1/4 inches,
Okay.
and the rear is 1 3/4.
Okay, that's not bad. Do you have any problems getting in the driveways at all?
Anybody who has more than a 1-inch lower in a
Yeah.
car is going to have problems getting into a driveway, but you just got to be careful and take sideways or just park on the street sometimes.
Yeah. And speaking of wheels and tires, what tires do you actually run on the car?
Car right now is running Toyo R888Rs,
Okay.
front and rear.
No problem at all. Now, is there any other things that you would say that you would do to this car? Any other plans for this car?
Well, I have a new set of wheels that should be coming pretty soon.
Okay.
We're going to do a 19x12 in the rear on the 345s, get a little more traction capability out of it on a new design that's coming out. So that hopefully in the next couple months or so we'll be able to see that. Redesigning a full race exhaust for the car.
Okay.
It's as loud as it is now and as well as it is now. There's a new exhaust in the next few weeks that's going to be on it as well.
Okay.
Performance-wise, there's not much else to do to it.
Yeah.
The car in its form, like now, daily driving, is different than it is at the racetrack.
Okay.
When it comes to the racetrack, it gets a new induction system, different piping, allows it to get another 10, 12 pounds of boost, and a few other tweaks.
Okay. No problem at all. Like I said before, this is something that does get a lot of attention. I noticed it is very loud, but that's a good thing, because you have some loud that's like, okay, that's too much, and it's like really doesn't sound that great, and then you have some loud where it's like, okay, that's one of a kind.
Yeah, well, we took into consideration not only we have to have performance and flow.
Mm-hmm.
It's got 2-inch headers, going to a full 3-inch, basically straight pipe back, more or less in the car. But one of the things that we've listened to in lots of other exhaust systems in combinations with headers is you lose some of the lower grunt and they get very higher pitched and a lot of rasp.
Okay.
This car is very loud.
Yes.
And it has a very large, slow muscle to it, and
Yes.
it does not drone at all, so it's easy to drive. But you can definitely hear the exhaust from inside the car.
Yeah.
It's not rumbling and rousing, so you can drive the car every day. You can listen to the radio, talk on the phone, and still run. But when the pedal's down,
Yeah.
everybody knows for a very long distance away.
Oh, believe me,
it's not a shy car.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I've seen this car at different events, and I'm just like, it stood out the most as far as sound. Sound stood out the most, and the uniqueness of the build. I automatically knew something was different about the car. And I've heard S550 Mustangs before and how they sound and everything like that, and they sound good as they are. But this one was like, okay, no, hold on, wait, that's not normal. That's okay. This car is just completely different. It's not stock at all.
So there's something very specific with exhaust tones and the sounds in these cars. No matter how bad you build it, big cams, things like that, with variable valve lift and variable cam timing, the car will really mellow itself out and give you as close to a stock sound all the time. You're not going to get like a Camaro or a Challenger choppy sound from a cam. We wanted to try and hear some of that internal engine noise.
Okay.
And that's what kind of makes the exhaust a little bit different and stand aside differently.
Okay.
You can actually hear the cams. You can actually hear the motor working, which gives you that grunt and that muscle behind it.
That's cool. That definitely is one thing that I noticed about this, is that, like I said, the unique sound is something angry.
Yeah.
But that's the point of the car. Now, outside of this build, do you think that you will build anything else like this, or something, more extreme?
That's a really good question. alluding to an earlier question of what's the next thing to do with the car, I've always wanted to do a twin turbo car. So whether I convert this to a twin turbo, or maybe pick up a new GT500 and twin turbo it, or just get another GT and go all power that way. It'd be neat to have both worlds in hand.
You mean like the Predator? You and twin turbo the Predator?
Potentially.
Okay. That'll be.
There's always plans.
Yeah, that'll be a first. Definitely be a first, especially on the new platform.
Yeah.
Because, like I said before, nobody knows what this new platform is going to look like or going to perform like, but
Correct.
definitely we know it's going to be different.
We know the base motor and we know what the Supercharger is going to be, but we don't really know what it's going to put out and what its real potential is going to be when it's all said and done.
And that's the thing about that. Definitely, twin turbo setup is different. I see a lot of people out there doing different, because I know with the twin turbo GT350s. And those outperform. It's like it's a different GT350 that left the factory.
Oh, sure.
Once it's twin turbo.
Oh yeah.
Because
even if you put superchargers on them, same thing.
With the superchargers, I've noticed that they were quick, but I noticed that, you know, coming from the factory, they had low end torque, but they didn't have as much as these did.
Well, that's your fundamental difference between turbos and superchargers. To begin with, a PD blower, a positive displacement blower, like a Whipple or a TVS or etc. Right? Those act very similar to turbos. You get a lot of low end torque right off the bat, and horsepower gets linear as the time goes. I like centrifugal superchargers. They get a little less torque in the bottom, but they're very linear power, very controllable.
Like a turbo.
Well,
Similar.
A lot more controllable than a turbo because you have more traction in the bottom end because you have less torque coming. So some people think of that as, oh, the car's slower or it's not going to do as well.
Yeah.
At the same time, while someone else is spinning, I've got traction.
Yeah.
So I think they really equal themselves out differently. But the thing is, the higher the RPM, and as you go through RPM, the car pulls harder and harder. It doesn't really level out and then just keep going.
Yeah.
So it's a constant hard pull the entire band.
And that twin turbo setup on the GT350, I've seen a few of them out there, and it's just like,
oh, they're monsters.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's a no-brainer to get 1,000 horsepower on one of those cars with a twin turbo.
Wow.
And more.
No problem. I mean, you can single turbo get you 800 out of those.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, that's almost a 300 horsepower gain.
Yep.
So when building a car like this, how is the maintenance and upkeep on the cars like this?
Well, depending on how the car is driven to begin with, as a daily driver, occasional track use, maybe road racing use, the biggest thing you're probably going to have to deal with in maintenance is tires.
Okay.
Generally, oil changes and things like that are going to be pretty normal.
Yeah.
If you're going to, quote, abuse the car more, you're going to change oil more often. Use higher brand oils than standards. Full synthetics. AMS oil happens to be one of my favorites. It's what we use specifically in most all of these cars that we build.
Okay.
But your fluid change intervals are more. The more you abuse it, the more you have to do that. But the car's never broken down. It's been built for 3.5 years in this build.
Okay.
And it's fluid changes only.
That's not bad at all.
And some tires.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've seen. I can
times a year.
I can hear the tires trying to grab for traction when this car is going.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about it. It's like I know that's an adrenaline that only a junkie can feel.
Yeah.
So most definitely, that is something I liked about this car.
You know, being in 6th gear and downshifting to 5th and losing traction at 150 miles an hour is something to have. It's something to think about and to be ready for if you can be.
Yes, I definitely noticed that. Other than power planting and power traction, what else do you plan for the vehicle?
Well, one of the most important things, if you're going to make a car go fast, you have to make it stop fast too. It has to stop reliably. This car has factory Brembos in it. We changed out the pads for some custom pads, and the rotors have been changed for drilled and slotted. Because this car is not road raced and it's straight line raced, we went with the drilled rotor and the slotted rotor, and it's cryo treated, so it's kind of the best of both. We're currently working with a company now to do a full big brake kit on the car and make that one of the last things that we do on it.
Okay. Is there any specific kind of size brakes or brand brakes that you plan on going?
Starting to work with Stop Tech for that right now.
Okay, that's no problem. I want to ask, before we wrap this up, is there anything cosmetic that you would want to do more to this car?
Well, I love the stripes that we did, the red, white, and blue theme. The 5.0 badges, the GT badge, are hand airbrushed.
Okay.
American flags that were done by Auto Badges. And I've been toying with the idea of changing the car up a little bit. Maybe redoing the stripes and doing a little different look of the black and blue or something like that. But I don't know, I just so love it the way it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things. It's an icon that a lot of people know and people recognize.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to change it yet, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I might change it when it gets, if it gets a little different power plan or something else. I may have a little different.
Feel
a little different.
Another monster.
Yeah.
A new look to a same monster.
Mentality, but a little different. A little different approach.
That's what I would say. This, whenever you get the new upgrades that you want to do, and then I would definitely love to do an in-car review for that one.
Sure.
Because like I said before, but I want everything to be done first, and then we can go forth.
Yeah.
And most definitely, I will keep in touch with you. I would love to see how the rest of this monster comes to life.
Yeah.
So, but I want to definitely say thank you for the review. Definitely want to thank Chemical Guys, of course, for allowing us to do this. And definitely, thank you.
Thank you.